I was trying to figure out how to assemble these drinking glasses I got shipped to me from IKEA when I suddenly had a crazy idea. You see, back in 2015, my family had a collection of DVDs, and since my mom's 2007 laptop with a built-in DVD reader had undergone issues lately, we went to Europe's favorite electronics retailer, where some sleazy salesman upsold my parents 5 times into buying this thing. This is an LG Blu-ray player, but it's not just any random LG Blu-ray player, and no, it has connectivity. So much connectivity, in fact, that you can watch Netflix and YouTube on this thing for some reason. Do you ever wonder if God sometimes fears the things he has created? This is one of the most interesting pieces of technology I have. It's like the physical manifestation of a time period where all old ways of consuming media were transitioning into the streaming age, which made these types of devices a smart choice for people who had commitment issues. Now, granted, I have no idea how well these things actually sold, because I've never seen anyone else have it or even talk about it for that matter, but I understand why they existed, and even if its relevancy is long gone, it's still a really cool testament to its time. But we're not just here to admire, because I have quite the interesting idea of something I could do with this thing. You see, I'm hungry. Quite hungry. So hungry, in fact, that I could eat a lot. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I starved myself until I can figure out how to buy a pizza on this thing? Well, yes, it very much would be funny. Now, your first thought might be, isn't that easy to do? Doesn't it have a web browser? And no, you're giving it far too much credit. All the smart features this thing has are only accessible through something called Premium, which is just a fancy name for a screen with some streaming apps and a really 2010s looking background image. Seriously, this shitbox has such a weirdly cool UI, like what the fuck? Anyway, yeah, this thing does not have a web browser. At least, not one which we can load arbitrary websites with. Don't get me wrong, it definitely has some kind of a browser built in, because every smart TV app on nearly every platform is literally just a website that looks like an app, because it's far easier to make those than to write a custom app for every single platform. But of course, we can't directly tell the box to load a specific website of our choosing. That would be silly. SwitchBrew is a project that allows people to gain pretty much free access to the Nintendo Switch's built-in web browser without needing to hack or homebrew your console. All you need to do is type some fancy numbers into the internet settings screen, do a connection test, and bada bing bada boom, you have access to a minimalistic web browser that allows you to go anywhere you want. How it works is pretty smart. Every time you log into a Wi-Fi network on any device, your device doesn't actually know whether it has access to the internet yet. Sure, you're connected to your magical byte beaming box, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the box is connected to the internet. In order to check this, your device simply tries connecting to a server that it knows will be up and running if you try to reach it. If it connects, you have internet. If it doesn't connect, you don't have internet. And if the server tries redirecting you to a different server, it means that the router is intercepting the connection and is trying to bring you to a Wi-Fi login page, much like the ones you'd find in hotels or cafes. All that SwitchBrew does is intercept specifically that test connection, so that your Switch thinks you need to log into a Wi-Fi network, after which it loads that login page in its built-in web browser. This login page can be anything you want, including something that just pulls up Google for you, since again, it only intercepts Nintendo's little connection test server and nothing else. Now, there's one issue with this plan, that being that SwitchBrew is made for Nintendo devices, and I'm willing to bet that LG does not use Nintendo servers for that. So instead of wasting time and writing a bunch of custom code for the off chance it'll work, I decided to just use a free program called My Public Wi-Fi, which lets you run a hotspot on your Windows PC with a login page. Let's see if it works. Please. No. It does not work. Turns out that LG did not think that this thing would be used in hotels or cafes, which means that they never added Wi-Fi login page support, so it just kind of silently accepts an internet connection without seeing if you can access anything with your connection, which leads to fun stuff like infinite loading screens that you can only get rid of if you pull out the power cord. So yeah, I can't use a login page for this. However, SwitchBrew actually did give me an interesting idea. In order to use SwitchBrew, you need to go into your Switch's internet settings and change the setting labeled DNS server. DNS stands for Domain Name System, which is basically like your phone's contact list, except instead of it having your friends and their phone numbers, it has every single website on the planet and their IP addresses. See, whenever your device wants to load youtube.com, which is what's called a domain name, it actually has no idea what that is, where to find it, or how to connect to it, because it can only do those things with an IP address that belongs to a server. So in order to figure out what that IP address is, it finds the nearest DNS server and basically asks it, hey, where's youtube.com? Yeah, it's over there. Cool, thanks. As you might have noticed, this process relies on your device trusting the DNS server. And as it turns out, anyone can create their own DNS server and you can configure most devices to use that server. SwitchBrew takes advantage of this by having a special DNS server that gives you the real IP address for every website, except Nintendo's connection test, which they intercept with their own IP address in order to fool your Switch into thinking it needs to log into a Wi-Fi network. Knowing this, there's really nothing stopping you from intercepting anything else, such as a Smart TV app. Like I said before, Smart TV apps are usually just websites with a fancy TV/remote optimized interface, which would imply that you can intercept them just like anything else. Hey, I'm back. Where's you? It's over there. Are you sure? Yes. By the way, in technical terms, this is called a DNS spoofing or sometimes a man-in-the-middle attack, and while most modern browsers and devices have safeguards against this built in, like HTTPS, not all do, including 11-year-old Blu-ray players, which is very good for us. Anyway, in order to test this out, I installed something called AdGuard Home, which is a DNS server that's normally used to block ads through this exact same intercepting method, but it also has a really nice UI that allows you to customize everything and create custom interceptions. The app I'm going to be intercepting is a local streaming service called Pathé Thuis, because I'd imagine the security on it is a bit worse than the big international streaming services like Netflix and YouTube, making it easier to intercept. Also because I like falling asleep to the sound of Markiplier jumpscare compilations. You know, a man has his needs. First thing we need to do is figure out exactly which domain name it tries loading when we open the app. This is easy since AdGuard has a list of all domain names that any device using it has recently tried to look up. We can simply pull up that list, open the app, and find the very first lookup the device did after that, which appears to be lg.pathethuis.nl, which sounds like it makes sense, and sure enough, works when I try visiting it on my PC. Cool. So, because we need something to point the app to, I'll just try pointing it to SwitchBrew's portal, both because it's accessible through an IP address, and because we can already use it to get to where we need to go. All we need to do now is to tell the player to use our DNS server, and we're ready to go. Let's see if it works again. Wow, I'm really craving pizza right now. Huh? Okay, well, the intercepting part definitely worked, but I guess you aren't intended to visit SwitchBrew from a domain it doesn't recognize? Kind of odd, but sure. Alas, since we can't use SwitchBrew, I just made my own little website that immediately brings you to Domino's upon loading. So that should work. Please work. Well, that's new. Why did it just exit by its... What the fuck is this? Okay, so I guess Domino fucking hates me. Let's try another one. New York pizza. What is this? Why is it doing this? It's giving me no information okay. Google. Will Google load? Oh. Okay, that's kind of surprising, I guess, but why didn't the other ones work? I can't press anything. Why isn't it? What the fuck? Yeah, stop it right there. It might surprise you, but at this particular moment, the scope of this entire project suddenly changed. All that trying to load pizza delivery sites and stuff, yeah, that doesn't matter anymore. Let me tell you about something called spatial navigation. You know how basically every website out there is designed with a cursor in mind? Smart TVs and other devices controlled by remotes or controllers obviously don't have that, so instead, they often use either a virtual cursor or the aforementioned spatial navigation. Essentially, when you press up, down, left, or right, it looks on the page for any element that can be highlighted and finds the nearest one to the one highlighted right now. There are a few more details on that, but that's not relevant right now. What is relevant is that this browser doesn't have either, which means that it doesn't matter if we manage to load any pizza delivery sites, we simply can't use them. But PipKip, I hear the oh so feeble you ask, how does the original smart app get controlled then? That's a very good question that I don't know the answer to, but I can make some guesses, most notably arrow keys. I think that since TV optimized apps are, well, TV optimized, they naturally don't need any cursor or spatial navigation because they can design the entire experience around the remote. But in order to do that, they do need to receive a signal when you've pressed a button, and emulating the arrow keys is simply the most logical and universal way to do that. In order to verify this, I can just make a little test website that tells me when a key has been pressed. And after having it not work for like 5 times because I'm just too used to JavaScript standards that didn't exist in 2014, I got a working test site that allows me to do just that. And it works. Cool beans. So naturally, the next question is, how do we use this? Since even if I did manage to load a pizza delivery website, I don't think it'll support arrow keys. Well, my good friend, let me tell you about BrowService. BrowService is an open source tool that allows you to, interestingly enough, run the most modern websites on ancient operating systems like Windows 98. Kind of, because the websites don't actually run on Windows 98 itself. Instead, they run on an invisible Chrome window on a different PC that your old PC can stream from and control, hence the name BrowService. In other words, it's basically a browser within a browser, which is ideal for this project. Will it work for us? Well, firstly, I thought it couldn't, since it didn't support a virtual cursor, spatial navigation, or an on-screen keyboard, which is why I was planning to make basically the same thing as BrowService that did support those features. But then, just to be sure, I looked through all the settings BrowService had and noticed that it could pass custom settings over to Chrome. That made me realize that I could maybe manually load an extension that adds those features for me. But after some digging, it turns out that I don't even need to do that, because apparently Chrome already has spatial navigation built in, which we can just enable in BrowService using the custom Chrome settings feature. So I started BrowService with it enabled, tested it on my computer, and holy shit, it actually works. Alas, I rushed to my Blu-Ray player, which was conveniently sitting on my desk, while conveniently hooked up to my capture card, which itself was conveniently connected to my computer. I booted it up, loaded BrowService, and oh, it doesn't do anything. Hey wait, I know why. In order to make it register keyboard inputs, BrowService forces you to focus the page by clicking on it. We naturally can't do that on the Blu-ray player because that's, well, the entire reason we're using BrowService, but what if I could inject some of my own code into the BrowService client website that makes it press the page for us automatically? Yeah, I could just make a little proxy for the BrowService client that injects some custom JavaScript code so that I can simulate that mouse press. And after painstakingly crafting this deeply unholy amalgamation of incompatible software and technical loopholes, it finally fucking worked. I had a functioning browser which I could actually interact with on the shitbox. Look at this. Look at that. Isn't that fucking awesome? I'm browsing a completely modern version of the web on a device that like completely was not intended for it, and I'm so fucking proud. As for the keyboard, I was lazy and implemented a sort of Nokia keyboard typing mode where you use the numpad to enter letters, because I could not be asked to make a fully navigable UI, which probably didn't even save me that much time because it took almost half a minute for myself to write PipKip with proper capitalization. Truly exquisite engineering. So what now? Well, I could still implement some kind of a virtual cursor in the event we need to enter a CAPTCHA, but then again, I haven't eaten or drank anything in 4 months, so yeah, let's just order this thing, yeah? Please? Please let me go. This is gonna be a fucking pain. The lag is absolutely annoying as fuck, holy shit. It always takes a couple of seconds before it actually registers anything that's happening. It's so bad. I haven't even decided what I want to get yet. That looks so fucking disgusting. I've eaten one of their pizzas before with like pepperoni on it, and the pepperoni is just crunchy. It's not soft, it's crunchy. Hell yeah. Now, for the moment of truth, am I actually gonna be able to like pay for this shit? Okay, yeah, make it to the fucking shopping cart. Yes, please, thank you. Oh my god. That took like fucking a minute. If I press a button, it takes like a second before it actually shows it on screen. It's so tedious. Wait, why is it 16 euros? What the why is it so expensive? What the hell? You know what? If any of them are cheaper, I'm just gonna get those, cause like I don't feel like paying fucking 20 euros for this. Not worth it. Yeah, no, I don't feel like making an account on this fucking Blu-ray player. Scrolling is also extremely tedious, by the way. You have to select the uppermost item on the page before it actually decides to scroll. Now we just gotta pray that there's not gonna be a captcha. Please let there not be a captcha. It would probably surprise you, but I'm actually not called Pipkip in real life. Insane, right? Wait, I just realized something. I don't have a fucking ad character. I can't type in my email address. Wait. No, wait. Okay, I quickly went back and edited the code so that it now supports an ad sign when I press 0. Look at that, it works. Now I have to find my way back to the fucking site and type it all again. Oh my god. Okay, thank god, it's still my cart. Oh. I've been at this for 20 minutes at this point, and it's gonna take another 30 minutes for them to actually prepare the order and like ship it to me. Oh my god. Are you kidding? I forgot about the fucking dots. Are you fucking kidding? Guess what? We're back. This event is gonna be in my fucking suicide note. Wow, it cleared out my email address. Isn't that so fun? Okay, please don't tell me I've forgotten any more characters I need to implement. Because this is a pain. Fine, I'll do 50 cents. I just don't want my food to be poisoned. I'm honestly very starving. Why isn't it working? What is it doing? It's not doing anything. Help. Oh wait, I'm blind. They have a minimum order amount? Why? Why do they have a minimum order amount? I just need to take the pizza caprese anyways, because that one is actually like 20 euros. It took me 4 months to even get to this point, so you know what? It's fucking worth it for me. I don't care. Please work. Why? It's not below the minimum amount. It's 2040, dude. Okay, I'm just gonna reload the website. I don't know if this is some fucking caching issue or something, but it's clearly above 20 euro. Okay, we reloaded everything. Look at this. It says right here 2048. So now this should imply that the minimum order of 20 euros has been completed, right? It's above 20 euros. It's above 20 euros. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? Oh, maybe the subtotal needs to be 20. Oh, that sucks. Why aren't they clarifying this though? Like, ja? Nee, ik ben al een half uur bezig. Omdat het zo kut is om het hierop te doen.
Oké, maar wij dachten, doen we wel even ook... Doe nog eentje extra.
Ja, oké, dat is goed, want er is een 20 euro minimale orderprijs.
Maar een kleine Hawaii bij. Gewoon een kleine.
Ja, oké, prima. My brother also wants a pizza for himself, which will definitely topple the price of the order up to like above the minimum. Sadly, they want pizza Hawaii though, which I'm almost tempted just not to give them because it's so disgusting. Come on, show me the money. Show Papa the money. Oh, the warning's gone. Finally. Moment of truth, please. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. This is like the local bank payment system, so I can just scan the QR code and pay with my phone. Oh my god, it worked. No. I ordered a pizza with a fucking Blu-ray player. Oh my god, it was so worth it. It was so worth the money. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
A few moments later.
Do you smell that? It's the fresh smell of victory.
I think I should really get a job. Thank you for watching. If you would also like to do something similar, for some reason, you can find the code I wrote for this project through the GitHub link in the description. As for the pizza, it tasted like 35 euros just undeservingly left my bank account. So, time to starve for another 4 months.